do. I do want to take a moment to once again thank Philly's Mad Men, the boys of Tech Philly, for pulling off this extraordinary thing that they did this week. At WHYY, it's been our pleasure to collaborate with Chris and Sean and Brian on Tech Week as one of the main host sites. And personally, over the last few years, I've had the pleasure of spending a lot of time talking with the three of them, these three guys, about the future of journalism, how journalism should change, and also how in some vital ways it should not change so that we can deal with the promise and the pitfalls of the digital age. These collaborations have involved much waving of arms. That would be Wink, who does that. Many wry looks, that would be Sean Blanda. And many deep and inscrutable silences, that would be Brian Kirk. And I know this is shocking to all of you, but some drinking of scotch may have been involved in these deep deliberations. One thing I hope these guys have done by staging this incredible event this week is to knock out one of the things frequently said by the doubters and the cynics in Philadelphia. Philadelphia does have a vital and broad innovation community. Let's not debate that core truth any longer. Now the job, as Chris said, is about nurturing connections and cross-pollination. It's about kickstarting those conversations that help turn data into information, information into knowledge, knowledge into civic capacity, and civic capacity into civic wisdom. I think the reason Chris and the other guys asked me to say something today, other than I represent the landlord for the event, is that I've spent a lot of my time in Philadelphia trying to nurture such conversations, originally in print and in person and now on the web. And I've led a lot of conversations around the city about public policy stuff. And about a decade ago, I noticed a big change in how those conversations went. And this was the change. People like you started being in the room. And I heard you talk. I talked about how much you love this town, its grit, its variety, its history, and its heart. How you saw it as a great place to do what it is that you do. But you also talked a lot about your frustrations, about how you found this a cliquish and a mysterious place. That Philadelphia was one piece of code you couldn't quite hack. You couldn't quite figure out how to get it to run without glitches. It's much better now than it was back in 2007 when I heard a lot of those comments when I did the Great Expectations project around the mayor's race. It's better in part because of people like you in the room, like Chris, like Sean, like Brian. And I hope it's better also because some of the older dogs in the media, such as myself, are embracing new ways of thinking and doing business. And now this is the shameless plug portion of my remarks. One example of a new way of doing business is the new website that WHYY launched last fall with much advice from the boys of Tech Philly. It's called NewsWorks. And we're trying to make it a fruitful marriage of new ideas and old values, of professional insight and grassroots energy, to be the kind of place where old Philly and rising Philly can bump into each other, can share a story, an insight, or a laugh, and create a new connection. A lot of you have visited NewsWorks, and we thank you for that and your feedback. For those of you who haven't heard of it or haven't been there yet, we're always open, and we're waiting for you to show up and tell us what you think. Changes are also happening for the good in the city of Philadelphia, in the political structure of the city. The rollout of Open Data Philly back on the first day of Tech Week was one example, and today's main speaker, who I'm going to introduce, is another. His name is Rich Negrin. I'm not going to try to put the salsa on it, Rich. I just couldn't dare that. He is the Deputy Mayor of Administration and Coordination and Managing Director of the City of Philadelphia, a title that's even longer than mine. He first joined city government in 2009 when Mayor Nutter asked him to tackle the intergalactic center of bureaucratic dysfunction, the Board of Revision of Taxes. This is a man who can accept the challenge. He did as good a job as a human being could do there until he couldn't do that job anymore, and then he became Managing Director of the city. He's also served as Vice Chair of the Independent Philadelphia Board of Ethics, another challenging job, and as Vice President and Associate General Counsel, Airmark Corporation. He was also a litigator with Morgan Lewis, and he also worked in the Major Trials Unit of the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office. He's very active in a number of community groups. He's a graduate of Wagner University and Wagner College and Rutgers University School of Law, and very importantly to me, he was a National Football League player for my favorite team, the Cleveland Browns. Another challenge that he tackled, Rich Negrin.